Hi, I'm Eric Price with LI-COR Biosciences, and I'd like to show you how to configure your LI-6400 XT portable photosynthesis system for soil CO2 flux measurements. You see, the movement of carbon dioxide from the surface of the soil to the atmosphere is a significant contribution to the global carbon cycle. This CO2 is produced by the respiration of roots and microbes, which in turn is influenced by soil type, soil moisture, and temperature. So measuring soil CO2 flux can be an important part of your research. And the LI-6400 XT lets you do that very easily. Unlike some of the leaf chambers, however, the soil chamber takes a bit more work to get it installed. So let's get started. First off, there are a few tools that you will need. You will need a small Phillips head screwdriver. You will need a 5/64 inch hex key, which is included with the LI-6400. And you'll need some sort of bowl or plate to hold any loose screws. We will have a lot of loose components as we go through this, so it's a good idea to keep those together. We will start with the sensor head. We'll disconnect the quantum sensor by unscrewing the BNC connector and pulling straight out. We will disconnect the log switch located here. There's a small white 2-pin connector. You'll want to grab onto the connector itself using your fingernails if you can, or tweezers or forceps or needle nose pliers. You want to grab the connector itself and not pull on just the wires, otherwise you could pull the wires out of the connector. You can, however, use one or two fingers to give you some leverage on the wires, but still make sure that you are grabbing the white connector itself. And that should pull straight out. If you have a 2x3 light source, you will have a connector here as well with the same idea. So it pulls straight out from the sensor head. You'll also want to disconnect the power supply to the light source. So this pulls straight out vertically from the sensor head. No unscrewing required. Next, we will disconnect the thermocouple, this purple connector here. It pulls straight forward from the sensor head. And last, we will disconnect the J-shaped tube that goes to the match valve. I usually start with this side first, simply pulling it down, twisting it to the side, and then you can usually use some leverage to pull it out of the match valve connector as well. And we'll set that aside in our bowl. Next, we will remove this adjustment knob. So disconnecting the front half of the sensor head from the handle. It may be easier to unlatch the handle as well. You can see it's now disconnected. Next, we are going to remove the handle completely by undoing these two small screws, Phillips head screws, and we'll remove them like this. Once you've removed those two screws, you'll see a metal plate comes off of the back. There's also a thermal isolator right here. It goes in between the handle and the rest of the sensor head to prevent any heat transfer. So make sure you keep track of this as well and place it in the bowl to keep that for later use. So we'll take out these two screws and remove them from the sensor head as well. Once you have removed the two screws, the entire top half of the sensor head will come off. You can set that aside. Now this power supply connector is going to be wiggling around a bit, so we want to make sure it's protected. We are going to remove one of these screws on the fan itself and put it back with the power connector underneath it so that it's secured. Once we've secured the power connector, the next step is to remove this bottom half of the chamber. We'll do that by removing these 8 small hex screws. Remember, these are 5/64 inch hex screws, and this hex key can be found in your spares kit. Once you've removed those 8 screws, you can gently pull and the bottom half of the chamber will come off. Now, as we turn this around, we'll notice that there is a small, clear, pentagon-shaped vinyl gasket. This gasket is important to make sure that we have a good seal between the chamber and the sensor head. And so you want to inspect it, see if there's any small holes, any tears, any gashes. Make sure that it's in place. We will need this for the next step. Next, we will take our soil chamber mounting block, and you can see that it has a similar pentagon shape here. We'll actually install it onto the sensor head like this. How we do this, we want to make sure that we keep this vinyl gasket in place. So the best way to do this is to put 2 of these small screws that we used in the previous step, one at the top of this pentagon and one in one of the maybe bottom corners. Get that down in there. And then turn this vertically so that our screws are pointing out. And we want to basically hang the vinyl gasket onto these screws so that it's in the correct position when we go to put the rest of the screws on. Once you have the gasket in roughly the right place, you want to flip this over and put it into the same space that we just opened up previously. You want to go ahead and tighten those 2 screws first. Not all the way tight, just a little bit, just to make sure they're in place. And then once those are in place, you can add the rest of the screws. Now, I recommend tightening the screws in sort of a clockwise fashion. So you don't want to tighten all of these first. You want to kind of go around the shape like you would maybe put on a car, a new tire. So connecting all 8 screws in a diagonal fashion. Now that we've connected the mounting block, it's time to get our soil chamber. You can see a small metal block here. This corresponds to this cutout here. You can also see that we have 5 holes with O-rings. Make sure those O-rings are intact and not damaged. Those correspond to the 5 holes on the chamber itself. So we flip this upside down and place it here. Now we will connect these 4 hex screws, again using our 5/64 inch hex key. Once we've connected our 4 hex screws, we will plug in our purple connector here, our thermocouple. We will also plug these two tubes. We want to use these two tubes when we're making measurements on the soil. So for this, we will need a special set of tubing that either looks like this, or it might look like two of these. But either way, we will want to plug this up so that there's no air escaping from the chamber. We will also want to plug up the spot where the J-shaped tube was using a piece that would have looked like this that also comes with the chamber. It may take a little bit of work to get it in place. You might have to wiggle it around a bit. Once we've done everything on the chamber side of things, it's time to move to the console. Next, on the console side of things, we will need to attach some special connectors. Your chamber would have come with a connector that looks like this. We will attach that to the inlet, attach this side to the hose barb. It may take some force to push it on, and then we will screw on this rapid quick connect fitting here. Next, we will also attach a special connector to the reference and sample lines. Again, this piece of tubing would have come with your chamber. Go ahead and attach that to both reference and sample. And the last special connector you will need is this thermocouple adapter for our soil temperature sensor. So this connects to the 37-pin connector up here. You can press that into place and also use the screws to hold that in place. Once you've done that, we will connect our cables. The tubing without black shrink wrap goes to the bottom portion, the air inlet, and the tubing with the black shrink wrap, as you can see here, goes to the top portion where we have our reference and sample split. And then you would connect these two cables as normal. And we've connected all our tubing here. Next, we will connect our soil temperature sensor. Yours may look like this. It may look a little bit different, but it connects right here, this purple connector on top. And that's everything we need to do on the console side of things. Now we'll go back to the sensor head. Back at the sensor head, we will connect our air inlet and outlet tubing to the bottom half, to the chamber itself, bypassing all of the match valve and all of that up here. We will connect our erga cables just like usual. And the last thing I'd like to point out is this hole here. It's specially designed to keep the soil thermocouple safe between measurements. When you're carrying this chamber from collar to collar, you can place it in this hole here. Of course, when you actually go to make measurements, when you place the chamber down on the collar, you'll want to remove this and place it into the soil near the collar itself. But there you have it. That's the configuration, the setup for the chamber itself. And that's how to install your soil chamber. The instructions for configuring the software for making measurements are included in the manual and on our website as well. And as always, if you have any questions, feel free to contact us or our distributors around the world.